In the middle of a great, big city, there was a patch of green so wide and wonderful, it felt like its own world. This was Central Bark, a kingdom ruled by dogs. The sun always seemed to shine a little brighter there, making the grass feel soft and warm under every paw. Dogs of all shapes and sizes lived together in this happy place. There were tall Great Danes who could see over the bushes, and tiny Chihuahuas who made their homes in the roots of ancient oak trees. They shared everything from the tastiest fallen crumbs of human picnics to the coolest sips from the grand fountain. It was a kingdom built on happy barks and wagging tails, a truly special place to be. Among all these dogs was a young puppy named Pip. He was a golden retriever with fur the color of morning sunshine and eyes full of questions. Pip was not just any puppy, he was a prince. His father, King Barnaby, was the leader of Central Bark, and one day Pip would take his place. But Pip was small, and the kingdom felt very, very big. He loved to chase butterflies and roll in the soft clover, his mind often drifting away from his royal duties. He would watch the other dogs play, wondering if he could ever be as strong as the boxers or as fast as the greyhounds. He had a good heart, but it was a heart that was still learning how to be brave. Pip spent his days exploring the edges of the kingdom. He knew every secret path and every squirrel's favorite hiding spot. He loved the smell of the damp earth after a light rain, and the sound of the leaves rustling in the wind. These small, simple joys were what made his heart feel full. He didn't think much about being king. Being a king sounded like a lot of work, and work didn't involve chasing your own tail or finding the perfect stick. He was content just being Pip, a small, happy puppy in a big, wonderful world, unaware of the great journey that was waiting just around the corner for him. The kingdom of Central Bark was a tapestry of sounds and smells, a place of constant motion and joy. The older dogs would lie in the sun, telling stories of days gone by, while the younger pups tumbled and played games of fetch and tag. Every dog had a role, a purpose that made the kingdom whole. The beagles were the great smell detectors, always the first to find a dropped sandwich. The sheepdogs were the gentle herders, making sure no little puppy wandered too far from the safety of the pack. Pip watched it all, a small prince in a grand court, feeling the warmth of belonging wash over him like a gentle, happy dream. King Barnaby was a wise and gentle leader. His fur was the color of aged gold, and his eyes held the kindness of 1,000 sunny afternoons. He wasn't the biggest or the strongest dog, but he had the biggest heart. One morning he called Pip to sit with him under the great oak, the heart of their kingdom. "My son," Barnaby said, his voice a low, comforting rumble. "To be a king is not about having the loudest bark, it is about having the best ears. You must listen to the smallest whimper just as you listen to the proudest howl. Every dog in this kingdom matters, from the grandest Dane to the tiniest terrier. A true leader cares for them all." Pip listened, trying to understand the weight of his father's words. He looked at his own small paws, and then at his father's steady ones. "But how do I learn to be so kind?" Pip asked, his voice barely a whisper. King Barnaby nuzzled him gently. "Kindness is not something you learn like a trick," he explained. "It is something you grow, like a seed inside you. You water it by sharing your water bowl. You give it sunshine by offering a friendly lick to a sad friend. You help it grow strong by standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. It is a choice you make every single day, my dear Pip." But not all hearts in Central Bark were full of sunshine. Pip's uncle, a sleek, dark-furred dog named Morco, watched them from the shadows. Morco was Barnaby's younger brother, and jealousy had made his heart grow cold and hard. He believed he should be king. He saw Barnaby's kindness as weakness, and Pip's youth as an opportunity. Morco wanted power, not friendship. He watched the king and the prince, a sneaky plan beginning to form in his clever mind. He smiled a smile that did not reach his eyes, a smile that held the chill of incoming storm. He knew just how to use Pip's trusting nature against him. Later that day, Morco trotted up to Pip, his tail giving a short, fake wag. "Pip, my favorite nephew," he said smoothly. "I heard a human say they left a whole bag of the most delicious jerky just outside the park gate by the big red bin. Your father loves jerky. Why don't you go tell him? It would be a wonderful surprise for him." Pip's heart leaped with excitement. He wanted to do something special for his father. He didn't see the sneaky glint in Morco's eyes. He only saw a chance to make his father happy. Pip thanked his uncle and ran off to find the king, never knowing he was a pawn in a cruel and selfish game. Filled with excitement, Pip found his father and told him about the delicious jerky. King Barnaby, seeing the pure joy in his son's face, couldn't say no. "What a wonderful thought, Pip," he said, and he trotted toward the gate. But it was a trap. The gate was one that clicked shut, and once King Barnaby was outside, he couldn't get back in. Morco had made sure of it. Pip waited and waited, but his father did not return. When Morco announced that the king had abandoned them, the pack grew scared and confused. Morco declared himself the new leader, and his first rule was that all food was his. Heartbroken and terrified, Pip believed it was all his fault. That night, under the cover of darkness, he ran away from the only home he had ever known. The world outside Central Bark was loud, scary, and lonely. The ground was hard and cold, not soft and grassy. Cars rumbled by like angry beasts. Pip was all alone, and his heart ached with sadness and guilt. He missed his father's warm fur and the happy barks of his friends. He curled up in a cardboard box in a dark alley, shivering. He had never felt so small or so lost. For the first time, he understood what it felt like to have no one, to be the smallest whimper his father had spoken of. The lessons of the king, once just words, were now becoming a painful reality for the little lost prince. Just when he thought he couldn't feel any sadder, a scruffy terrier with one floppy ear peeked into his box. "You look lost," the terrier said, her voice surprisingly cheerful. "My name's Patches, what's yours?" Beside her was a huge, sleepy-eyed bulldog named Gus. "Don't mind him," Patches said, nodding at the bulldog. "He's mostly nap." Pip, hesitant at first, told them his story. Patches and Gus didn't laugh. They listened. They shared their small piece of a stale bagel with him. For the first time in days, Pip felt a tiny spark of hope. He wasn't entirely alone anymore. He had found friends in the most unlikely of places. With Patches and Gus, Pip learned how to survive on the city streets. Patches taught him how to find food in which humans were kind and would offer a gentle pat. Gus, who was much stronger than he looked, taught Pip how to be brave and stand tall even when he was scared. They were a strange little family, a runaway prince, a scrappy terrier, and a sleepy bulldog. Pip learned that friendship wasn't about being from the same pack. It was about being there for each other. He was growing stronger, not just in his legs, but in his heart. He was learning the true meaning of kindness and courage, one city block at a time. Days turned into weeks, and Pip grew from a small puppy into a strong, young dog. He never forgot about his home, and the thought of his friends suffering under Morco's selfish rule gnawed at his heart. One day he told Patches and Gus that he had to go back. "It's my fault my father is gone," he said, his voice steady and clear. "It's my home, and I have to protect it." Patches and Gus did not hesitate. "Then we're going with you," Patches declared. "No one faces a bully alone," Gus rumbled, finally looking wide awake. With his new friends by his side, Pip felt a surge of courage he had never known before. He was ready to face his uncle. They arrived at Central Bark to find a sad, quiet place. The grass was no longer vibrant, and the dogs were thin and unhappy. Morco sat near the grand fountain, hoarding a pile of toys and treats for himself. When he saw Pip, he sneered, "Look who's back, the little coward who ran away." But Pip did not cower. He stood tall with Patches and Gus flanking him. "You tricked me, Morco," Pip said, his voice ringing with newfound authority. "You lied to everyone. A king cares for his pack. He doesn't starve them." The other dogs, hearing the strength in Pip's voice, lifted their heads, a glimmer of hope returning to their eyes. Morco lunged, but he was not ready for the three friends. Gus, with his mighty strength, stood like a wall, blocking Morco's path. Patches, quick and clever, darted around, nipping at his heels and confusing him. Pip, using the lessons of kindness his father taught him, did not fight with anger. He spoke to the other dogs. "We are a pack," he called out. "We are friends. We are a family. We are stronger together." Inspired by his words, the other dogs rose up. They surrounded Morco, not with teeth, but with a united presence. Overwhelmed and alone, Morco tucked his tail and surrendered, his reign of fear finally over. Just then, a familiar, joyful bark echoed from the park gate. It was King Barnaby. A kind human had found him, and after many weeks finally brought him back home. The reunion between father and son was full of happy licks and wagging tails. Barnaby looked at Pip, no longer a small, questioning puppy, but a brave young leader. He saw the loyalty of Patches and Gus, and the hope he had restored to the pack. With a proud heart, King Barnaby announced that it was time for a new leader. Pip, the pup who ran away and returned a hero, became the king of Central Bark, ruling with kindness, courage, and the help of his very best friends.